With that said, a lot is still going on and still needs to be determined in the second round of this draft, where the Bulls do have a second round draft pick. Now, before a lot of players fell out of the draft and they decided to go back to college or go back overseas and they're going to re-enter the draft next year, this second round of this draft was slated to be a very deep second round of the draft. Now, some of that has changed, right? As far as players going back, and now you're not necessarily getting the depth that you would have before. But I do want to talk about I want to talk about 5 players in the second round that have skill that can translate to the NBA right away. And I mean right away. The first one I want to talk about is Johni Broome. Now, this is a guy that, I said it, just a tough motherfucker. He's just a tough son of a bitch. And that's what you like. Like, don't get me wrong. He scored a little bit. He can block shots a little bit. He can play some solid defense. He rebounds pretty well. This is a guy that I understand why he's falling down into the second round, right? An older prospect, but when you look at it, he averaged 18.6 points per game and 10.8 rebounds, and he did that with a lot of physicality. That physicality that Johni Broome has, that's the thing that can translate right away for the NBA. I will not be surprised at all if Johni Broome ends up turning into like a Taj Gibson level player. And I know that's a starter in the NBA. I would not be surprised if I get it while all the potential and things, I understand why he drops to the second round in this draft. But I'm telling you right now, I would not be surprised at all if Johni Broome ends up being a starter at some point for an NBA team and he starts for a handful of years and plays good. Tough, solid shot blocker, solid rebounder. He has a pretty good shot as well. He's physical. Those are things as far as the NBA we're seeing going, right? The biggest downside to him is his age. He's 23 years old stepping into the NBA. And that's, I think, one of the things that is hurting him the most when it comes down to it. But for a 6'10" big man that could do a lot of things, that has a high floor, this is a guy that I would love. If the Bulls can draft him in the second round, I think that would be an amazing pick there. Next up, Koby Brea. And this is another player that I think, when you talk about shooting from beyond the arc, this is a guy that can do that. He's knocked down over 43% of his three-point shots, taking nearly 6 attempts per game, and he hit about 50% of his threes the season prior to going to Dayton. Koby Brea is a player that I think that he can be a legitimate shooter right away. Now, he's not going to create much off the dribble for himself, right? But I think when you look at a second-round prospect, that's perfectly fine if he's not creating a lot for himself. Again, you're going to be paying, if you're paying Josh Giddey $30 million, and a big part of that is for his playmaking, you should be able to afford to have some players on your roster that aren't necessarily the best self-creators, because Josh Giddey should be creating for these motherfuckers because that's part of his job, right? So you're looking at that for him. 11 points per game, a senior that I think, again, is another player that has a high floor, and that's really what I want to see from a player that you could draft in the second round. Really high floor. 43% three-point shooter. Last year, he took 5.9 per game, hit it at 43%. The year before that, with his last year in Dayton, took 6 three-pointers per game, hit that at almost 50% clip. So, Koby Brea is the type of player that you look at and it's easy to kind of overlook, right? But I like this kid. I like his motor. I love what he brings as far as shooting ability, and the Bulls need some three-point shooting in this. And I think with that, he can be a really good prospect for the Bulls, especially if they do go big man earlier in the draft. The next guy, Eric Dixon. This is a guy who, the NBA, draft combine measurements weren't great for him, and I think that did hurt him a little bit. But when you look at it, 23 points per game last season, first in NCAA Division I, while shooting over 40% from the arc. Listen, that is a guy that I think he's an undersized power forward. He's 6'8", but his strength, the footwork, the feel for the game that he has, this is another guy that I think that you get on your team, and if he ends up being on the back of your bench, I think that he can do wonders for you when it comes down to it. I really like this guy. I like his motor. I like what he brings to the court. I think that he's a guy that has, again, a high floor, and that's really what you're looking at for, is very high floors to me. That's what I'm looking for. 5.1 rebounds per game, 45% shooting from the field, 81% free throw shooter as well. And as a big man, you like that, right? Because if he does, as you're playing physical, and that is part of his game, is that physical play, he's going to get hacked some. He's going to get fouled some. And so if he can hit that free throw at a decent rate, that's really what I think you want to see from a player like him. I love him. He's a player that I really have come to like a lot over the last couple of weeks in looking at second-round draft picks. I like him. Another guy that I talked about a little bit, Hunter Salas. And this is a guy that I think, he wasn't productive his first 2 years, and I think that dropped him down before moving over to Wake Forest. And he became the go-to scorer there. 63% from inside the arc. He slashes very well to the rim. I think this is a guy that people are going to overlook. 6'5", but he has really good length. He has really good efficiency around the rim. I think that he has the tools to be a two-way guard at the NBA level. I'm not saying that he can come in and replace Ayo or anything like that, but I'm saying that if what we've heard is that the Bulls have to decide between Koby and Ayo ends up moving into the starting lineup, you have Hunter Salas there. I think he can develop to a really nice bench piece for you, and maybe it even has an upside to do more than that. His size may limit him a little bit, but look at this guy, Hunter Salas, I think makes a lot of sense here for the Chicago Bulls. And then lastly, Hanson Yang. This is a player that a lot of you guys have been asking me to cover. I haven't covered a lot for. Legit size, 7'2", 250 pounds, 7'3" wingspan. He won a 3 shuttle time and a 30-inch max vertical at the draft combine. This guy has a lot of things that you can look for. And if you can get him in the second round with his touch around the rim, he has solid footwork, he has really good shot blocking instincts as well. He's really raw. I don't want to be clear that he's really raw, so he is going to be a product, right? He's going to be somebody that you have to put in a lot of time to develop, but he's going to have to adjust to the NBA speed and physicality. But if he does that, I think he can work out well for you. Now, he could end up being as well. He could end up being like a Sonogo, right? A player that we see some things with, but never really gets a chance in the NBA. But I'd be willing to take a shot on him definitely in the second round if he falls there, because I think he has a lot of upside potentially for any team that drafts him, especially if it's the Bulls. But let me know what you guys think on those players down below. Make sure you guys are following us at Bulls Central Pod. You send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullscentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that's thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like we like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See you right if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.